What, Essie?
Hey, the kitchen's awful hot. That new candy I'm making, it just won't ever get cool.
Do you have to make candy today, Essie? It's such a hot day.
Well, I got all those new orders. I went out and got a bunch of new orders.
Well, my, if that keeps up, I suppose you'll be opening up a store soon.
That's what Ed was saying last night, but I said no. I want to be a dancer.
Well, the only trouble with dancing is that it takes so long. You've been studying such a long time.
Only 8 years. After all, Mother, you started writing plays about the same time, didn't you?
Well, yes, but you shouldn't count my first 2 years because I was learning to type.
Candy's hard enough now, Miss Bessie.
Oh, thanks, Reba. I'll bring some in. Mother, I want you to try one.
Did you finish the second act yet, Miss Sycamore?
What, Reba?
I said, did you finish the second act yet?
Oh, no. I just got Cynthia entering a monastery.
She was at the Kit Kat, wasn't she?
Well, yes, but she gets tired of the Kit Kat Club, and there's this monastery, so she goes there.
Oh.
And I made it Visitor's Day, so anyone can come.
Did she stay all night?
Oh, yes. She stays 6 years.
6 years? My, I bet she bust that monastery wide open.
6 years later.
Mr. DePina? Yeah? Will you bring one of those new skyrockets up from the basement? Sure. I want to show one to Miss Sycamore. Penny, take a look at these new fireworks we made today. We can sell them 10 cents a piece. Listen. Nice, huh?
Oh, yes. Paul, were you ever in a monastery?
No, I wasn't. Anyway, Mr. DePin and I made a new skyrocket today. It's got gold stars, blue stars, a bomb, and then a balloon. Mr. DePin thought of the balloon.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Did you do all that today?
Yeah, sure. We made it all up in the basement. Here we are. Take a look, Penny. Cost us 18 cents to make, and we'll sell them for 50. How many of these do you suppose we can make by the 4th of July, Mr. DePina?
Well, we've got 2 weeks yet. When do you say you want to take that stuff up to Mount Vernon?
In about a week. You know, we're going to need a larger booth this year. We got a lot of stuff made up.
Mrs. Sycamore, I think the powder chamber is just a bit too close to the balloon.
But we got the stars and the bombs in between.
Yes, but a balloon needs plenty of time.
Oh, come. We'll take a look.
Aye.
Oh, Mr. DePina, if a girl you loved entered a monastery, what would you do?
I don't know. It's been so long.
Is Miss Alice going to be home for dinner tonight, Miss Sycamore?
Oh, I don't know, Reba. Maybe.
You know, she hasn't been home in 3 weeks.
Yes, I know.
Miss Essie's making some mighty fine candy in there today. She's doing something new with coconut.
Uh-huh. That's nice.
Let's see, with Mr. DePina, that makes 7. If Mr. Klinkoff comes, that make 8, don't it? Yeah, I better separate.
You know what, Reba? I think I'm going to put this play away for a while and go back to my war play.
The war play. I've always liked that one. Boom! Boom!
They'll be better when they're harder, Mother. But try one. I want to know what you think.
Oh, well, they look lovely. Well, what do you call them?
I think I'll call them Love Dreams.
Well, that sounds nice. I'm going to go back to my war play, Essie.
Oh, are you, Mother?
Yes, I've sort of gotten myself into a monastery, and I can't get out.
Oh, well, it'll come to you. Remember how you got yourself out of that brothel? The snakes look hungry. Did Reba feed them?
Oh, I don't know. Reba, did you feed the snakes yet?
No, Dad always brings flies with him when he comes.
Oh, well, try to feed them before Grandpa gets home. You know how fussy he is about him.
Yes, ma'am.
And take Groucho into the kitchen with you. I believe I'll have another love dream.
Mr. DePina was right about the balloon. It was too close to the powder chamber.
Want a love dream, Father?
No thanks, I gotta wash.
I'm going back to my war play, Paul.
That's nice. We're gonna put some red stars in between the bomb and the balloon. That ought to give it enough time.
You know, Mr. Kalinkoff says I'm his most promising pupil.
He would think that with 40 monks and 1 girl, that something would happen.
Essie, hey Essie. Listen to this for a minute.
I like that, Ed. Did you write it?
No, Beethoven.
Lovely. Got a lot of you in it. I made those new candies this afternoon, Ed.
Yeah?
You can take them around tonight.
All right. Now here's the ending. This is me. How's that?
Fine, Ed. Remember when Kalinkoff comes.
Ed, darling, why don't you and Essie have a baby? I was thinking about it just the other day.
I suppose you could have one if you want us to. How about Essie? Want to have a baby?
Oh, I don't care. I'm willing if Grandpa is.
Well, let's ask him.
Labor play,
Tell him that.
religious play, sex play. Oh, I know it's here someplace.
Oh, hello there, Mr. DePina. Anything you want printed up? How about some more calling cards?
No, thanks. I still got the first 1,000.
Well, calling somebody, will you?
All right.
Reba, what have we got for dinner tonight? I'm ready to print up the menu.
Cornflakes, watermelon, some of the new candies Miss Essie made, and some kind of meat, I forget.
I believe I'll print it up in Goldfish Cheltenham tonight. Say, if I'm going to take those candies around after dinner, I better print up some descriptive menu.
Ed, did you think anybody actually reads those things that you put in the candy boxes? Oh, here's that war play. Poison gas. Oh, that must be Donald. Look at Reba smile.
The boyfriend, eh, Reba?
They're awfully cute, Donald and Reba. Sort of like Porgy and Bess.
Hello, Reba.
Donald!
Evening, everybody.
Evening, Donald. How have you been?
Oh, I'm fine, Mr. Sycamore. How you been, Miss Sycamore?
Oh, I'm just fine, Donald. Donald, have you ever been in a monastery?
No, I don't go no place much. I'm on relief, you know.
Ah, yes, of course.
Here's the flies, Reba. Caught a big mess of them today.
Oh, you sure did.
I see you've been working, Miss Sycamore.
Yes, indeed, Donald.
How's Grandpa?
Oh, he's fine. He's up at Columbia this afternoon, the commencement exercises.
My, the years certainly do roll around.
Penny, what's he go there for all the time anyhow?
Oh, I don't know. It's so handy just around the corner.
Oh, Donald. Mr. DePin and I are going up to take the fireworks to Mount Vernon next week. I was wondering if you could give us a hand.
Yes, sir. Only thing is I can't take no money for it this year. The government finds out, they'll get awfully sore.
Okay. Ed. I was upstairs just now in the bathroom reading Trotsky. It's yours, right?
Yeah, I left it there.
Who is it?
Trotsky. You know, the Russian Revolution.
Oh, yes, in the last days of Pompeii. Palisades Park, that's where we met.
Anyway, I was thinking of doing a full-hour display.
You don't say.
Oh, Paul, that's wonderful.
So the red fire would be the flag, huh?
Sure. And the Czar and the Cossacks.
And the freeing of the slaves?
No, Donald. The Russian Revolution. Hello, Grandpa.
You should have been there. That's all I can say. You should have been there.
Was it a nice commencement, Grandpa?
Oh, wonderful. They get better every year. You don't know how lucky you are. You're a snake.
Big class this year, Grandpa. How many were there?
Oh, it must have been 2 acres. Everybody graduated. Much funnier speeches, too.
You want to hear a good speech, you go up and hear Father Divine.
They'll have him at Columbia.
Donald, will you go into the kitchen and tell Reba that Grandpa's home now, and we won't wait for Miss Alice?
Yes, ma'am. Reba, Grandpa's home now. We can eat.
Mr. DePina and I made a nice skyrocket today. Do you make a nice skyrocket today, Mr. DePina?
We sure did.
Hi, evening, Mr. DeFino.
Hey, Grandpa.
You know, I wonder why they don't have fireworks at commencements.
They don't make enough noise. You can take a good commencement orator, and he'll drown out a whole carload of fireworks. Say just as much, too.
Well, don't the graduates get to say anything?
No, they just sit there in cap and nightgown. Then, long about 40 years, they say, "Where am I?"
Hello, Grandpa. Have a nice day.
Hello, Grandpa. Have a nice day. Don't I even get kissed?
Excuse me, Grandpa.
I'll take a few of those tomatoes, too. Bring it.
Father?
No, thanks.
Mother?
Oh, no, thank you, dear.
Ed, why don't you play something?
All right.
Grandpa, there was a letter for you. Did you get it?
A letter for me? I don't know anybody.
It was for you, though. Had your name on it.
Where is it?
I don't know. Mother, where's Grandpa's letter?
Oh, I don't know, dear. I remember seeing the puppy on it.
Who is it from?
It was on the outside.
So who is it from?
United States government.
Wonder what they wanted.
There was one before that, too. There was a couple of them.
Well, if any more come, I wish you'd give them to me.
Yes, Grandpa.
God is the state is God.
What's that?
God is the state is God.
Who says that?
Trotsky.
Ah, I thought it was you.
Oh, that's nice for printing, you know. Nice and short. G, O, D.
And so the
Space.
beautiful princess entered her palace and kissed her mother, her father, and her grandfather.
Hello, darling.
Hello, Grandpa. And they all turned into the Sycamore family. Surprised? Oh, Alice, I like it. Oh, do you? It's new, isn't it?
It looks nice and summery.
Where'd you get it? Oh, I took a walk during my lunch hour.
You've been taking an awful lot of walks lately. That's the second new dress this week.
Yes. Well, I'd like to brighten up the office every once in a while. They're calling me the Kate Francis of Kirby and Company. So what's new around here in the way of plays and ballet dancing and snakes and fireworks? I bet you've been down in that cellar all day, haven't you, Dad?
Uh-huh.
I'm going back to my war play, Alice.
Oh, really, Mother?
Ed, play Alice that Beethoven thing you wrote.
All right.
You know, you can mail a letter all the way to Nicaragua now for
Really?
2 pesetos.
Really?
Kenneth, my virginity is a priceless thing to me.
Listen, people, listen. I'm not going to be home for dinner tonight because, a young gentleman's calling for me.
Really? Who is it?
Well, isn't that nice?
I did everything possible to keep him from coming here, but he's calling for me.
Oh, why don't you both stay for dinner?
No. I tried to prepare him as much as possible, but I want him to take you in easy doses. Don't read him any plays, Mother. And don't let the snake bite him, Grandpa, because I like him. And I wouldn't dance for him, Essie, because we're going to the Monte Carlo Ballet tonight.
You can't do anything. Who is he? President of the United States?
No, he's the Vice President of Kirby and Company, Mr. Anthony Kirby, Jr.
The boss's son?
Well,
The boss's son. Just like in the movies.
That explains the new dresses.
And why you haven't been home for dinner for the past 3 weeks?
Why, Sherlock Holmes?
are you going to marry him, Alice?
Oh, yes, of course, tonight. Meanwhile, I better run upstairs and put on my wedding dress.
Is he good looking?
Oh, yes, in a word. Oh, dear, what time is it?
Oh, I don't know. Does anybody know what time it is?
Mr. DePinna might know.
It was 5 o'clock a couple hours ago.
I should have known better than to ask you people. Will you let me know the minute he comes, please?
Of course, dear.
Yes, I know, but I mean the minute he comes.
Why, of course.
Well, be sure.
Well, what do you think of that?
She certainly seems happy if you ask me.
I should say so. She's got it bad.
Oh, yes. You know, if she married him, we could have the wedding right in this room.
Now, Penny. This is the first time the boys ever called for her.
He only called for me once.
Kids are different nowadays.
Oh, I don't know. Look at Enemy. He came over once and just stayed.
Anyhow, I think it's wonderful. Don't you, Grandpa?
Oh, it is wonderful.
You know, that just occurred to me. Maybe he's the one that's been taking her out every night this week. That must be him. Never mind, Reba, I'll answer it. Oh, remember what Alice said. Be very, very nice to him.
Well, let's take a look at the boy.
Well, welcome to our little home. Do come right in, do come right in. I'm Alice's mother. Now, this is Mr. Sycamore. and Alice's grandfather, and Alice's sister, and her husband, Ed Carmichael. Give me your hat and make yourself right at home.
I'm afraid you must be making a mistake.
Well, how's that?
My card.
Wilbur C. Henderson, Internal Revenue Department.
That's right.
What can we do for you?
Does a Mr. Martin Vanderhoff live here?
Oh, yes, sir, that's me.
Well, Mr. Vanderhoff, the government wants to talk to you about a little matter of your income tax.
Income tax?
You mind if I sit down?
No, please go right ahead.
Thank you.
Mother, is that Mr. Kirby?
No, it isn't, darling. It's an internal something or other. Pardon me.
Mr. Sycamore. Oh, excuse me. Mr. Sycamore, these things aren't going off.
Not here, Mr. DePinna. Grandpa's busy. Pardon me.
Now, Mr. Vanderhoff, we've written you several letters about this, but have not had any response.
That's what those letters were about.
I told you they're from the government.
According to our records, you have not paid an income tax.
No, sir.
Why not?
I don't believe in it.
Well, you own property, don't you?
I do.
And you receive a yearly income from it?
Yes, sir.
Between $3,000 and $4,000?
About that.
You've been receiving it for years.
1901, if you want the exact date.
Well, the government is only concerned from 1914 on. That's when the income tax started.
Well,
Well, it seems, Mr. Vanderhoff, that you owe the government 24 years back taxes.
Wait a minute. You can't go back that far. That's outlawed.
What's your name?
What does it matter?
Ever file an income tax return?
No, sir.
Aha! What was your income last year?
$28.50. Wasn't it, Essie?
Yes, sir.
If you please. Now, Mr. Vanderhoff, you know there's quite a penalty for not filing an income tax return.
Penalty?
let me ask you something, Mr. Henderson.
Well,
Suppose I do pay you this money. Granted, I'm not saying I'm going to, but just for the sake of argument. What do I get for my money?
how do you mean?
I mean, if I go to Macy's and I give them money, I get a product. If I give the government money, what are they going to give me?
Why, the government gives you everything. It protects you.
From what?
Well, invasion, foreigners that might come over here and take everything you've got.
I don't think they're going to do that.
If you didn't pay an income tax, they would. How do you think they keep up the Army and the Navy? All those battleships.
Battleships? Last time we used battleships was in the Spanish-American War. What did we get out of it? Cuba. And we gave it back. I wouldn't mind paying the money if it were something sensible.
Sensible? Well, what about Congress and the Supreme Court? And the President? We've got to pay them, don't we?
No, sir. Not with my money.
Now look, I'm not here to argue with you. All I know is that you haven't paid an income tax, and you've got to pay it!
They've got to show me.
We don't have to show you. I just told you. All those buildings down in Washington, interstate commerce, and the Constitution.
Ah, the Constitution was paid for long ago. And interstate commerce? What's interstate commerce anyway?
Look, there are 48 states, see? And without interstate commerce, nothing could go from one state to another, see?
Well, why not? They got fences?
No, they haven't got fences. They got law. My gosh, I've never dealt with anything like this before.
Well, I might pay about $75, but that's all it's worth.
You'll pay every settlement like everybody else.
Hey, Essie, listen to this for a minute.
And let me tell you something else. You'll go to jail. Do you hear me? That's the law. And if you think you're bigger than the law, you've got another thing coming. You're no better than anybody else. And the sooner you get that through your head, the better. You're here from the United States government. That's all I've got to say to you.
Hey, watch out for my snake.
Jeepers!
How was that, Essie?
Fine, Ed.
How'd that sound to all you folks?
I liked it.
Oh my, he was certainly mad, wasn't he?
It's not his fault. It's just the whole income tax thing is so silly.
He forgot his hat, Grandpa.
Hey, say, what size is that?
7 and an 8.
Perfect for me.
Who was that fellow anyway?
Oh, I don't know. Someone from the government? I wonder when Mr. Kirby is going to get here. Now this must be Mr. Kirby.
Better make sure this time.
Oh, yes, I will.
I hope he's good looking.
How do you do?
Good evening.
Is this Mr. Anthony Kirby, Jr.?
Yes.
Well, then come right in. Come right in, Mr. Kirby. We've been expecting you. This is really Mr. Kirby. Now, I'm Alice's mother, and this is Mr. Sycamore, Alice's father, and Alice's grandfather, Alice's sister, Essie, and Essie's husband, Ed. There, now you know all of us. Give me your hat and your coat and make yourself right at home.
Thank you.
Mother, is that Mr. Kirby?
Yes, it is, darling. Oh, he's lovely.
Oh, I'll be right down.
Well, why don't you have a seat, Mr. Kirby?
Thank you. Oh, I hope I'm not keeping you from dinner.
No, please, have a tomato.
No thank you.
Mr. Kirby, how about a piece of candy?
No thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kirby. I forgot to introduce Mr. DePinna. Mr. DePinna, Mr. Kirby.
How do you do?
Wasn't I hearing about your father the other day in the newspaper? Isn't he getting indicted or something?
Hardly that. He just testified before the Securities Commission.
Oh.
Yes, of course. I'm sure there was nothing crooked about it, Mr. DePinna. After all, Alice has often told us what a lovely man your father really is.
Well, I know my father couldn't get along without Alice. She knows more about the business than any of us.
You're awful young, aren't you, Mr. Kirby? To be vice president of a big place like that?
Well, you know what that means, vice president. All I have is a desk with my name on it.
Oh, is that all? Well, don't you get any salary?
Well, a little. More than I'm worth, I'm afraid.
Oh, now you're just being modest.
It sounds kind of dull to me. Wall Street. Do you like it?
Well, the hours are short, and I haven't been there very long.
Just out of college, huh?
Well, I messed around for a while at first. Just sort of had fun.
Traveling?
For a while, then I went to Cambridge for a year.
England, huh?
That's right.
Did you see any English commencements? Did you like them?
Oh, very impressive.
Oh, they were, huh?
Well, so now that you're home, you certainly do. Well, you certainly are very well off. Vice president and a rich father.
Well, that's hardly my fault.
So now, I suppose you're all ready to settle down and get married?
No, Penny. I'm sure the boy knows his own mind.
I wasn't making his mind up for him, was I, Mr. Kirby?
That's quite all right, Miss Sycamore.
You see?
You mustn't rush him, Mother.
Well, all I was saying is that he's bound to get married, and suppose the wrong girl gets him.
Well, here I am. Vision in red. So I see you've all had time to get acquainted.
Oh, yes, we were just having a lovely conversation about love and marriage.
Oh, I'm sorry I came down as fast as I could.
It's all right.
Oh, Miss Alice. You look beautiful. Where are you going?
I'm going out, Reba.
Oh, stepping, huh?
That must be Kalinka. I think we'd better go.
All right.
Grandpa, you take cream on your cornflakes. I forget.
Half and half, Donald.
Yes, sir, Mr. Kalinkoff.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Grandpa, tell me what you think. I've had a letter from Russia. The second part replied, it is a failure.
I practiced today, Mr. Klinkoff.
My Pavlova.
If you'll excuse us, Mr. Klinkoff.
Oh, my little Alice. Never have I seen you look so magnificent.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Kirby, this is Mr. Klinkoff, as his dancing teacher. Mr. Kirby.
How do you do?
How do you do?
If you'll excuse us, we're going to the Monte Carlo Ballet tonight.
Monte Carlo Ballet. That stinks.
Yes, well, good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
good
I'm
night.
so glad to meet you all.
Oh, good night.
Monte Carlo Ballet.
Isn't Mr. Kirby lovely? And he's so good looking. But did you notice his manners, Paul?
Yes, and you seem to be getting a little personal with him, too.
Oh, now, Paul. Anyhow, he's a very nice young man. Come to dinner, everyone.
Yes, I thought he was a nice fellow, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Very good looking.
You know what, Grandpa? If they get married here, I'll put the altar where the snakes are, if you don't mind.
Not if he doesn't.
Oh, no. Don wants to get married at a church. His family there and everything.
Oh, yeah. It's ready.
All right, quiet. Dinner's ready. Well, sir, here we are again. And all we ask from you is just to help us go along and be happy in our own sort of way. Other than that, we'll leave it all up to you. Thank you. So the second 5-year plan's a failure, right, Clinton?
Oh, yes. I don't know your cousin, though. Isn't it wonderful, Alice marrying a Kirby?
I can play the...
I could see them dance every night of the week. I think they're marvelous.
They are, aren't they? But of course, just walking inside the theater gives me a thrill.
Well, it's been so lovely, Tony. I hate to see it over.
Oh, is it over? Do I have to go right away?
Not if you don't want to.
I don't.
Would you like a cold drink?
Wonderful.
I'll see what I have in the kitchen. Do you want to come along?
I'd follow you to the ends of the earth.
Oh, just the kitchen is enough.
Why, I like it. You've done it very simply, haven't you?
Yes, well, we didn't know whether to go with Empire or Neo-Grecian.
So you settled for Frigidaire.
Yes, it's so easy to live with. Well, you're lucky you're not hungry, Mr. K. Icebox full of cornflakes. It gives you a rough idea of the Sycamores.
Of course, I can never get these bottle openers.
Oh. Oh, well.
Oh, my gosh. All over my coat.
Oh, well, I'll take mine in a glass if you don't mind.
There you are, a foaming beaker.
Well, anyhow, it's cold.
Now, Miss Sycamore, I'd like to offer you a toast. Miss Sycamore, to you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Kirby, to you.
Do you know something?
What?
I wouldn't trade 1 minute of this evening for all the rice in China.
Really?
Cross my heart.
Is there much rice in China?
Terrific. Didn't you read The Good Earth? Well, I guess I ought to...
Oh,
go.
is it very late?
Very. I don't want to go.
Oh, I don't want you to.
All right, I won't. So, when do you get your vacation?
The last 2 weeks in August.
I might take mine then, too.
Oh, really?
So what are you gonna do?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about it much.
Going away, do you think?
I might not. I kind of like the city in the summertime.
I do, too.
But don't you usually go to Maine in the summer?
That's right. I mean, I would like the city in the summertime if... Oh, you know what I mean, Alice. I would like if you were here.
Oh, I'd like it if you were here too, Tony.
You know what you're saying, don't you?
What?
That you would rather spend the summertime with me than anybody else?
Oh, was I?
Well, if it's true about the summer, how would you feel about the winter?
Yes, I'd like that too.
And then there's spring and autumn, if you could see your way clear of those, Miss Sycamore.
I might.
Well, that's the whole year. We haven't forgotten anything, have we?
No.
Well, then.
What time is it? Oh, Oh, my. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Kirby. Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt anything.
That's quite all right, Miss Sycamore.
I just came down to get a manuscript, and then you can go right ahead with what you were doing. Here it is. Sex takes a holiday. Well, good night, Tony.
Good night, Miss Sycamore.
Oh, I think you can call me Penny. Don't you, Alice? Oh, at least I hope so.
What was that?
Oh, that was his father.
This time of night?
Mm-hmm. Any time of night and any time of day.
You know, you're more beautiful, more lovely, more adorable than anyone else in the whole world.
Don't, Tony.
What? Just because your mother's a little, you know, all mothers are like that, Alice. And Penny's a darling. You see, I'm even calling her Penny.
It's not that. Listen, I should have said this a long time ago, but I didn't really have the courage. I was kind of swept away because I loved you so.
Darling.
No, wait. Tony, we live in two different kinds of worlds with different kinds of people. I don't mean money or socially, that's just too silly, but your family and mine, it just wouldn't work, Tony. It just wouldn't work.
Fine, have it your way. She can't dance. That's why they pay her all that money, because she can't dance.
Well, I don't call that dancing what she does, anyhow. Oh, hello. How was the ballet?
It was fine, Essie.
Wonderful.
Hello there.
Hello.
Look, what do you people think? Ed and I just saw Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Do you think she can dance, Mr. Kirby?
Why, yes, I've always thought so.
What does she do, anyhow? Now look, you're Fred Astaire and I'm Ginger Rogers.
Don't, Essie.
I didn't want to use him for a minute.
You're just as good as Ginger Rogers. We all agree.
You see, Ed?
Yeah, come on, Essie. We're butting in here.
Oh, they've been together all evening. Well, good night, Mr. Kirby. Good night, Alice.
Good night, Miss Carmichael.
Good night. Essie, did you ask Grandpa about us having that baby?
Oh, yes. He said to go right ahead.
All right.
Do you see, Tony? That's how it would be like.
Oh, I didn't mind that. Anyhow, we're not going to live with your family. It's just you and I.
It's never quite that. I love them, Tony. I love them deeply. Some people could just turn away, but I can't. I know they do rather strange things, but they're happy and fun, and I don't know, there's kind of a nobility about them.
Darling, you talk as though that you can only understand them. Why, that's not true. My father raises orchids at $10,000 a bulb. Isn't that sensible? My mother believes in spiritualism. That's just as bad as your mother writing plays, isn't it?
Your mother believes in spiritualism because it's fashionable, and your father raises orchids because he can afford it. My mother writes plays because 8 years ago, this typewriter was delivered to her house by mistake.
Darling, what of it?
And look at Grandpa. 35 years ago, he just quit the business. He went all the way up on his elevator and then came right back down. He just stopped. He could have been a rich man, Tony, but he said it took too much time. So for 35 years, he's just sat and went to circuses and commencements. It never occurred to any of them.
Hello there, children.
Hello, Grandpa.
Good evening, Mr. Vanderhoff.
Beautiful weather we're having, isn't it?
It's lovely, Grandpa.
Well, I must be going. I have a date on the corner with a policeman.
Policeman?
Oh, yes. 12:30 every night. Known him since he was just a little boy. He's really a doctor, but after he graduated, he came to me and said, I want to be a policeman. So I told him, you go right ahead and you be a policeman. And he did. Say, how do you like my new hat?
It's very nice, Mr. Vanderhoff.
Yes, I like it. The government gave it to me.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't know you folks is in here. We were kind of fancy some... Oh, there it is. Did y'all have a nice evening?
Yes, Donald.
Did y'all have a nice dinner?
Yes, Donald.
Was the ballet nice?
Yes, Donald.
That's nice.
Now do you see what I mean? How could you explain Donald to your father? How could you explain Grandpa? You couldn't, Tony. I love you, Tony, but I love them too. And it's just no use anymore. It's just no use.
Darling, there's only one thing that you said that makes any sense at all. You love me.
But Tony, I know
But
so well.
darling, don't you think other people have the same problem? Everybody's got a family.
Yes, but not like mine.
That doesn't stop people who love each other. Darling, won't you trust me and go on loving me and forget about everything else?
How can I?
Because nothing can keep us apart. You know that. You must know it. They want you to be happy, don't they? They must.
Of course they do, Tony, but they can't change.
They wouldn't have to change. They're charming, lovable people, just as they are. You're worrying about something that may never come up.
Tony, am I?
All that matters right now is that we love each other. That's so, isn't it?
Yes.
Well then.
Oh, Tony.
Darling. Well, right now, I would like to see a little gaiety around here. Young men calling and getting engaged and everything.
Oh, what do I say?
Well, first you thank the young man for getting engaged to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby, for getting engaged to me.
And then you tell him what it was about him that first took your girlish heart.
The back of your head.
What?
The back of your head. It wasn't your money and it wasn't your charm. It was the back of your head. I just kind of liked it.
Well, what happened when I turned around?
Oh, I got used to that after a while.
Oh, Alice, think of it. We're pretty lucky, aren't we?
Well, I know I am. I'm the luckiest girl in the world.
I'm not exactly unlucky myself. Well, I guess I oughta... Good night, darling.
Oh, good night, Tony.
Isn't it wonderful we work in the same office? Otherwise, I'd be hanging around here all day.
Oh, it's going to be kind of weird going around tomorrow and just pretending as if nothing had happened.
Thank God I'm vice president. I can dictate to you all day. Dear Miss Sycamore, I love you. I love you. I love you.
Tony, you're such a fool.
How about we meet up in the drugstore in the morning? I have a million things to say to you.
All right.
And then lunch, and then dinner tomorrow night.
Tony, what will people say?
Well, it's got to come out sometime. In fact, if you know a good house stop, I like to do a little shouting.
Oh, we did a good night's work, Mr. DePinna.
Yes, that's 500 Black Panthers, 300 willow trees, and 8 dozen kitty bombers.
Hi, Alice. Just coming in?
Well, oh no, I've been here for a while, Father.
Have a nice evening.
I had a wonderful evening.
It's nice. I'd like for you to take a look at this new fire we made today. Mr. DePinna, turn out the lights. I want Alice to get the full effect.
What, Father?
I want you to take a look at this new fire we made today. Nice, huh?
Oh, of course it's nice. Everything's beautiful. Oh, it's the most beautiful fire in the world!
And so I told the guy, you could just take your job.
Oh, Miss Wellington, I'm ready to read the new play whenever you are.
Just a minute, dear, just a minute.
I'm wondering something, Miss Wellington, and I hope you don't mind me. Oh my. I hope you don't mind me asking this, but you don't drink, do you, when you're acting? I'm just asking, of course.
No, really, I'm glad you said something, because, okay, yeah, okay. Really, I said that, didn't I? Okay, yeah. When I come through the stage doors, you know, for a performance, the ball gets put away.
Okay.
At least till intermission.
You all right? Do you act much?
Oh, yeah. I've acted in everything. You know, I've played everything my whole life. Have you guys ever seen, Peggle My Heart?
Oh, yes.
I saw it too. Good show. Oh, it's kind of hot in here, don't you think?
You want me to open the window, Miss Wellington?
No, forget the weather. Woo, he's pretty cute.
Oh, why don't we go into my room and read the play, Miss Wellington? I thought we'd read it in my room.
Oh, okay, sure. No, see? When I start to see snakes, it's time to lay down.
Oh, no, wait, no, Miss Wellington. Those are real. They're real. They're Grandpa's. Miss Wellington?
Oh, she's out like a light.
You better let her sleep it off.
Reba! Grandpa just passed, or Miss Wellington just passed out.
Good! Do you think she'll be all right?
Yes, but I wouldn't cast her in any religious plays.
Well, I suppose I'll just have to wait.
Penny, do us all a favor, and next time you meet an actress on top of a bus, send her the script instead of bringing her home to read it.
Ed, I wish you'd stop playing the xylophone and take those love dreams around. You've got to be back in time to play for me when Kalinkoff comes.
Kalinkoff coming tonight?
Yes, tomorrow night's his night. But I had to change it on account of Alice.
Big doings around here?
Yes.
It's exciting, isn't it? You know, I'm so nervous. You would think it was me you were engaged to instead of Alice.
What do you think they'll be like? His mother and father.
I don't know.
Ed, what are you doing now?
Hey, Penny, you see the new mask I'm working on? Guess who it is?
Now wait, don't tell me, Ed. Helena Troy.
Mrs. Roosevelt.
These erector sets are so great. You can make so many different things with them. Like last week, it was the Empire State Building.
What is it this week?
Queen Mary.
No, it hasn't got the right hat on.
Oh, Mr. Pinnock, you go and open the front door and see if there's a man standing outside.
Why? What for?
In the past few days, when I've been out delivering candy, I think a man's been following me.
Ed, you're crazy.
No, I'm not. He follows me, and he watches the house.
I'll go check.
Ed, what would anybody follow you for?
Well, there is a lot of kidnapping going on, Grandpa.
Yes, but not of Ed.
Well, did you see anybody?
No.
You sure?
Positive. Just saw last fellow walk away.
You see?
Oh, it could have been anybody walking along the street, Ed. Will you hurry and get back?
Oh, all right.
Want to come down and pick up the fireworks?
Yeah, sure. We gotta take those up to Mount Vernon tomorrow.
Oh, Mother, may I borrow a piece of paper? I want to make a list out for Reba for tomorrow night.
Of course, dear.
Thank you. Mother, what's wrong with your actress friend? Is she giving a performance?
Oh, no, dear. She's not acting. She's really drunk.
Ashley, you're going to finish all your love dreams by today, right? Because Reba's going to need the kitchen all day tomorrow.
Of course. I'm going to start some love dreams now. So I'll be way ahead.
Thanks, dear. Mother, I'm going to be home by 3 o'clock tomorrow, so that should give you plenty of time to do everything and put everything in the cellar. The typewriter and the snakes and the xylophone and the printing press.
And Miss Wellington.
and Miss Wellington, and that gives me time to fix the table and arrange some flowers.
You know, the Kirbys certainly are going to get the wrong impression of this house.
You'll do all that, won't you, Mother?
Oh, yes, of course.
It's not like I'm trying to give them the wrong impression or pretend like we're anything we're not. I just want everything to go off well.
No reason they shouldn't, darling.
Oh, we're all going to do everything that we can to make sure it's a nice party, darling.
Oh, my darlings, I love you guys. You guys are the most wonderful family in the world. And I'm the happiest girl in the world. Oh, this past week has been like floating. Just seeing him, Grandpa, you don't know what it does to me.
Just seeing him for lunch, then dinner, then till 4 o'clock in the morning, and long about 9 o'clock the next morning, you're at the office, and there he is. Just seeing him.
Oh, I don't care. I'm in love. Oh, Reba! Reba!
It's lovely seeing her so happy, isn't it?
Oh, yes. I remember when I was engaged to Paul, how happy I was. And, you know, I still feel that way.
Yes, lovely how Ed and Essie get along, too, isn't it?
Oh, and Donald and Reba? Well, even though they're not married. Do you suppose Mr. DePinto will ever marry anyone, Grandpa?
Well, there's always Miss Wellington.
Oh, dear. I wish she'd wake up. If we're going to read that play anytime soon.
Sycamore, look what I found. Remember?
Oh, why, yes. It's my painting of you as a discus thrower. Remember, Grandpa?
Oh, yes. Say, you've got a little gray, haven't you?
Is it very noticeable?
Well, it was a long time ago. Just before I stopped painting. Let me see, that's, 8 years.
Who would have thought I came to deliver ice 8 years ago? I'd just stay.
The milkman was here before you for 5.
Why'd he leave anyhow?
He didn't leave. He died.
Oh, yes, that's right.
He was a very nice man. We didn't know his name, so it was kind of hard to get a death certificate.
What was the name we finally buried him under?
Martin Vanderhoff. We gave him your name.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Miss Sycamore, could you finish it?
Well, you know, Mr. DePinto, I always meant to finish it, but one day I just started to write a play, and that was that. I never painted again.
Good thing, too. I was going to have to strip next.
Oh, but you know what, Mr. DePinto? I think I'll do some work on it. Right tonight.
Say, would you?
Yes, I don't think she's going to wake up anyhow. Look, Mr. DePinto, why don't you go into the cellar and put on your costume and bring up the easel? It's still down there, isn't it?
I think so.
Oh, now, where did I put my palette and brushes? Here, Grandpa.
Labiska! Oh, my little Labiska.
Yes, sir, Mr. Kalinga.
Well, good evening, Mr. Kalinkoff. Essie's in the kitchen.
Madam Sycamore, I greet you. Grandpa, tell me what I am to do about my Labiska. I keep on telling her she would make the great toe dancer. But when I pose the question, she only laughs at me.
No, sir, Mr. Kalinkoff. I couldn't get up my toes. I've got corns.
You could wear diamonds, Labiska. She's a great girl, Grandpa. What is that?
Oh, that's a picture of Mr. DePinto. Penny painted it.
And it stinks.
Yeah. Say, what do you think of that?
Oh, what is that?
She's an actress. Friend of Penny's.
She stinks. She is drunk, no?
She is drunk, yes. So, how you been there, Klinkov?
Oh, magnificent. Life is for chasing around inside of me, like a squirrel.
Yeah, it is, huh? Have you heard from your friend in Russia lately?
Oh, I've heard from him yesterday. I saved for you, the stamp.
Yeah, thanks.
They've sent him to Siberia.
Oh, they have, huh? How's he like it?
Oh, he has escaped. He has escaped and gone back to Moscow. He will get them yet, if they do not get him first. The Soviet government is... I could take the whole Soviet government and just... I tear you, Grandpa.
I'm sorry I'm late, Mr. Kalinkoff. I'll get into my dancing clothes right away.
Well, tonight you will really work, my Pavlova. Tonight we try something new.
Say, Klinkov, how's Essie coming along now?
Confidentially, she stinks.
Well, as long as she's having fun.
You sure do crack up Reba, Mr. Kalinkoff. She's laughing her head off out there.
She's a great girl, Grandpa. Grandpa, Donald, what do you think of the Soviet government?
The what, Mr. Kalinkoff?
I withdraw the question. What do you think of this government?
Oh, I like it fine. I'm on relief, you know.
Yes, and you like it?
Yes, sir. Only thing is, you gotta go stand in line for pretty near half an hour. Government ought to be run better than that, don't you think, Grandpa?
Yeah, government ought to stop sending me these letters. Seems they want me down at the United States Marshal's office, 10 o'clock, bright and early. Look at that.
The income tax. They've got you, Grandpa.
Yeah, seems they want me to pay a whole lot of money as to keep Donald here on relief.
You don't say. You mean, you're gonna pay me from now on?
That's what they want.
So, I can just come here instead of going and standing in that line?
No, I'm afraid you're still gonna have to go there every week.
Well, I don't like it. It breaks up my week.
Breaks up his week. He should have been in Russia when the revolution came. And then he would have stood in line. A bread line. I tell you, Grandpa, what they've done to Russia, think of it. The Grand Duchess, Olga Katrina, cousin to the Tsar, she is waitress in Child's restaurant. She served me baked beans only yesterday. Breaks my heart. Crazy world this is, Grandpa.
Oh, the world's not so crazy, Kalinkoff. It's just the people in it. Life's kind of beautiful if you just relax.
And how can you relax in times like this?
Oh, that's just my point. There wouldn't be times like these if people would just relax. But a lot of people forget that. I know I did. I was right in the middle of it, scratching and clawing, trying to get my way out. Regular jungle. And one day I just asked myself, where does all the fun come in?
So you did what?
I just relaxed. 35 years ago that was. Been a happy man ever since.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Kalinkoff.
Ah, my little Alice, I've not seen you to present the proper congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
May you be very happy, and may your Chichnos produce many offspring. That is my prayer for you.
Oh, it's quite a thought.
Love. Love is the only thing that is left in this world, Grandpa.
Yes, and there's plenty of that.
And soon Stalin will have that too. I tell you, Grandpa, when Stalin gets his little
Oh, it's
hands...
so nice to get back into my art things again. They still look all right, don't they, Grandpa?
Yes, indeed.
You are a breath of Paris, Madame Sycamore.
Oh, I thank you, Mr. Kalinkoff.
I didn't know you was working for the WPA.
Oh, no, Donald. You see, I used to paint all the time.
It happened again. The man was following me every place I went.
Nonsense, Ed. It's just your imagination.
No, it isn't. It happens every time I go out to deliver candy.
Ah, maybe he just wants a piece of candy.
It's all right for you to laugh, Grandpa, but he's following me.
You do not know what following is. In Russia, everybody is followed. I was followed right out of Russia.
Oh, of course. You see, it's all just your imagination.
Well, maybe. Sycamore, where do you want this?
Here we are. Bring it here.
I'm sorry, I'm late,
Jenna.
Mr. Kalinkoff. I couldn't find my slippers.
We have a hot night for it, my Pavlova. But art is only achieved through the perspiration.
Oh, why, that's wonderful. Did you hear that, Grandpa? Art is only achieved through perspiration.
Yes, but it helps to have a little talent, too. I only made 2 bullseyes last night. I gotta do better than that.
Are you ready? Then we begin. We start with the period. It is 8 years now. You can do better than that. Loosen up with the arms. You cannot relax. You cannot relax with Stalin in Russia, Grandpa. These are relaxed. And what happened to him?
He was too late.
If he had not relaxed, the Grand Duchess Olga Katrina would not be serving me
Mr.
baked beans
Kalinkoff.
today. I am sorry. Go back to the periods. The periods!
Could you raise your arm up a little, Mr. DePinna?
The whole
That's
body
right.
must...
What is it, Reba?
How do you do?
How do you do?
Good evening. Are we too early?
No, please, come right in. Let me introduce you to everyone. This is Alice, Penny's... This is Penny, Alice's mother. This is Mrs. Essie Carmichael, Alice's sister, Edward Carmichael, Mr. Kalenkoff, and Mr. DePinna.
If you'll excuse me, I'll go down and change.
Tell Paul to come right up. The Kirbys are here.
And make sure he puts his pants on.
Excuse me.
I'll tell Alice that you're here. Alice, will you come in, dear? We've got a surprise for you. Well,
Mrs. Kirby, may I take your wrap?
Well, thank you. If you're perfectly sure that we're not...
Oh, please, don't worry. He's perfectly harmless.
Thank you.
take him into the kitchen, Ed. Oh, we're just so used to him around the house.
I'm sorry to trouble you, but snakes happen to be.
Penny, why don't we see about getting these folks some dinner? They have come for dinner, haven't they?
Oh, please, don't bother. We're really not hungry at all.
Oh, no, it's not a bit of a bother. Ed, come here, Ed. Tell Donald to run down to the A&P and get half a dozen bottles of beer and some canned salmon. Do you like canned salmon, Mr. Kirby?
Oh, don't mind me. I have a little indigestion anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about you, Mrs. Kirby? Do you like canned salmon?
Oh, I'm quite fond of it.
You could have frankfurters if you'd rather.
Either one will do.
You better make it frankfurters then. And some canned corn and Campbell's soup. You got all that, Ed?
Okay.
Tell him to hurry. The A&P is just around the corner, and frankfurters don't take any time to boil. I'm afraid you really must be starved.
No, quite all right.
Oh, this is Mr. Sycamore, Alice's father, the Kirbys.
How do you do?
Hi. I hope you'll forgive my appearance.
This is Mr. Sycamore's busiest time of year, around the 4th.
Darling, I'm the most dull-witted person in the world. I thought it was tonight.
Tony, how could you? Oh, I can't imagine. Why didn't you? Oh, has everybody met each other?
Yes, of course.
How do you do, Alice?
Oh, how do you do, Mrs. Kirby? I'm afraid I'm not very presentable.
Darling, you look lovely.
Of course she does. Don't let this bother you, my dear. Just because we've met each other a night sooner.
Of course. Yes, but I was planning such a lovely party tomorrow night.
It's okay. We'll come again tomorrow night then.
There you are, Alice. Am I forgiven?
I guess so. It's just we better see about getting you some dinner.
Oh, I've already taken care of that, Alice. That's all been seen to.
Yes, but Mother, Mr. Kirby suffers from indigestion. He can only eat certain things.
Now, it's not as serious as all that. Just because I have a little indigestion.
I asked him what he wanted, Alice.
Yes, but...
It's all right. It's all right.
Perhaps it is not indigestion at all, Mr. Kirby. Perhaps you have the stomach ulcers.
Don't be absurd, Mr. Klinkoff.
You mustn't mind Mr. Klinkoff. He's a Russian, and Russians are inclined to look on the dark side of things.
All right, I'm a Russian. But a friend of mine, a Russian, died from the stomach ulcers.
Please, Mr. Klinkoff.
All right. Then we let him wait.
Please, Mr. Kirby, sit down and make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
So, are we pretty well out of the Depression?
What? Oh, yes, of course. Well, it all depends.
But do you see the economy improving from now on?
Broadly speaking, yes. As a matter of fact, industry is now operating at 62% as opposed to 83% in 1925. But in 1929...
There, where's the young lady from Wheeling? Who is hanging upside down on the ceiling? She fell on her neck, Jim mumbles. Oh, what the heck? uncomfortable feeling.
She,
You must think that's rather strange, but that's a friend of Penny's, and she was to come to dinner, but she was overcome by the heat.
yes, some people feel it more than others, you know. Perhaps I better go check on her. Excuse me, please.
It is awful hot in here. You usually escape the hot weather, don't you, Mrs. Kirby, up in Maine?
As a rule. However, I had to come down this week for the flower show.
Mother wouldn't miss that event for the world. That blue ribbon is a high spot every year.
I won a ribbon at a flower show once for raising onions. Remember, Alice?
That was a garden show, Essie.
Oh, yes.
Well, I think she'll be all right now. Has Donald come back yet?
No, he hasn't.
Well, I'm sure he'll be back very soon, and then dinner won't take any time at all.
I'm afraid you must be starved.
No, quite all right. Oh, hello. What's this? I didn't know there were little children in the house.
There isn't. That's mine.
Do you use it as a model of some kind?
No, I just play with it.
I see.
Maybe you'd be better off if you had a hobby like that, Dad, instead of raising your orchids.
Yes, probably.
Oh, do tell us all about your orchids, Mr. Kirby. I hear they take 6 years to blossom. Think of that.
Oh, my dear, some of them even take longer than that. I've got one coming along now I've waited 10 years for.
Believe it or not, I was waiting for an orchid once.
Yes, and during that time they require the most scrupulous care. I remember a bulb I was quite fond of.
Donald! Here we are. Did you get everything, Donald?
They didn't have any frankfurters, so I got pickled pig's feet instead.
Never mind. Just take it all in the kitchen.
All right.
Mr. Kirby, tell everyone about your orchids. I'm sure they'd love to hear about it. And, excuse me.
Raising orchids, isn't that a rather expensive hobby, Mr. Kirby?
Yes, but I figure if it gives you one sufficient pleasure, it's never too expensive.
That's very true.
Yes, I know a lot of my friends have yachts for the very reason of taking away the weekly strain of Wall Street.
Why don't they just quit Wall Street?
How's that?
Oh, I'm just kidding, of course.
I think it's necessary for everyone to have a hobby. Of course, to me, it's much more than a hobby. My great solace is spiritualism.
Spiritualism? Oh, now, Mrs. Kirby, everybody knows that's a fake.
To me, Mrs. Sycamore, spiritualism is, well, I'd rather not discuss it, Mrs. Sycamore.
Remember, Penny, you have a few odd hobbies of your own.
Yes, but not silly ones.
Penny, I think the important thing is to have a hobby, not what it is.
To be ideal, a hobby should improve the body as well as the mind. Now the Romans, they were great people. Why? What was their hobby? Wrestling. In wrestling, you must think quick with your mind and act quick with the body.
Mr. Kalinkov, I'm afraid wrestling is not very practical for all of us. I mean, take me for example. I wouldn't make a good showing as a wrestler.
Oh, nonsense, Mr. Kirby. You're to be a great wrestler.
What are you doing?
Are you all right?
Where are my glasses?
Oh, here they are, Mr. Kirby. Oh, I'm afraid they're broken.
I am sorry, Mr. Kirby. But of course, when you wrestle next time, you will not be wearing glasses.
I don't intend to wrestle again, Mr. Kalinkov.
Better sit down, Father.
Oh, Mr. Clinton, how could you have done this? Why didn't somebody stop him?
I think if you don't mind, perhaps we better be going.
Oh, please, Mrs. Kirby, please don't go. Mr. Kirby, please don't go. I've ordered you some scrambled eggs and some plain salad. Please don't go.
Again, if I did anything wrong, I am sorry, and I apologize.
It's all right, my dear. It's quite all right.
It's okay, darling. We're not going.
Well, that was certainly exciting for a moment, wasn't it?
Mr. Kirby, you were speaking of your orchids.
I'm afraid I've quite forgotten about my orchids.
Kirby, if I had just been here, this wouldn't have
Then
been...
what did I do that was so long? I knocked him down on the floor. Did I kill him? No!
Oh, how's dinner coming, Alice?
Would you like some candy while you're waiting, Mr.
Miss
Kirby?
Alice?
Will you excuse me for a second? What is it, Reba?
The egg just fell out of the sink.
Make some more, quick!
I don't have any more.
Send Donald out for some.
Okay.
And tell him to hurry! There'll be a little delay in the dinner.
Whoosh.
I've got some candy freshly made.
Oh, don't, Essie, don't.
My doctor does not permit me to eat candy. Thank you.
Why don't we all play a game of some sort while we're waiting?
Oh, that'll be fine.
Oh, wonderful. I know a great trick with a glass of water. No!
I'm not very good at games, Miss Sycamore.
See, Mother, Mr. Kirby doesn't want to play.
Oh, but Mr. Kirby, any fool could play this game. It's perfectly harmless, Alice.
He said he doesn't want to play, Mother.
But it's so simple. All you do is write your name on this piece of paper.
Mother, what is this game?
It's called Forget Me Not. I used to play it while I was in high school. Here you are, Grandpa.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay. All you do is write your name on this piece of paper. And I'm going to call out, I'm going to call out 5 words, just anything at all. And you're going to put down the first thing that comes to your mind. Is, for example, if I were to say grass, you might put down green. Or if I were to say chair, you might put down table. It shows the reactions that people have to different things.
I understand.
Okay. Ready for the first word?
Ready.
Potatoes. Potatoes. Ready for the second word? Bathroom.
Mother!
Bathroom. Got that? The third word is lust.
Mother, that's not exactly what you would say.
Oh,
It was
not
kind of-
nonsense, Alice. That word is perfectly fine.
It's not perfectly fine, Mother.
Oh, I don't know. That seems to me that's a perfectly fair word.
You see, Alice, now you mustn't interrupt the game.
What was the last word, Miss Sycamore?
Lust, Mr. Kirby.
I've got it.
This really is quite a game.
Shh, Grandpa. The next word is honeymoon. Now, Essie. And the last word is sex.
Mother!
Does everybody have sex?
I sure do.
Okay, now give me all the papers.
What happens now, sweetheart?
This is the best part. This is where I read out all your reactions. May I have your paper, Mr. Kirby? Thank you.
This is quite an interesting game, Miss Sycamore.
Oh, I knew you'd like it. In fact, I'll read your paper first, Mr. Kirby. Is everybody ready? This is Mr. Kirby's paper. Potatoes, steak. Oh, well, that's very good. Do you see how those go together, steak and potatoes?
I just happened to think of it.
Well, that's wonderful, Mr. Kirby. Let's see, where was I? Oh, yes. Bathroom, toothpaste. Oh, well, that's very good. Lust, unlawful. Yes, well, honeymoon, trip. Oh, yes. And sex, male. Oh, yes, of course you are, Mr. Kirby. Oh, that's very, very wonderful.
You know, it's more than just a game. It's almost an experiment in psychology.
Well, yes, it is. It shows the way your mind works. Yes, that's it. Well, now we'll see how Mrs. Kirby's mind works. Everybody ready? This is Mrs. Kirby. Here we are. Potatoes, starch. I know just what you mean, Mrs. Kirby. Oh, dear. Bathroom, Mr. Kirby.
How's that?
I just thought of your connection with it, Anthony.
After all, you are in there a great deal, bathing and shaving. Well, you do take a long time.
I didn't realize I was being selfish in the matter. Go on, my dear.
Oh, this is a very silly game, and I think we ought to stop.
Yes. Oh, he said he wants to go on. Oh,
Yes.
okay, where was I? Oh, yes, honeymoon. Oh, no, wait. What's the next word? Lust, human.
Human? Really, Miriam?
I just meant, Anthony, that lust is, after all, a human emotion.
Lust isn't a human emotion. It is depraved.
Very well, Anthony. I'm wrong.
Oh, this is really pointless. Suppose we play 20 questions.
No. What was the next word, Miss Sycamore?
Honeymoon.
And what did Miss Kirby put down for that one?
Honeymoon, doll.
Did you say doll?
I just meant, Anthony, that Hot Springs wasn't very fun that season. All those old people sitting around on the porch all afternoon and, well, nothing to do at night.
That was not your reaction at the time, Miriam.
Father, this is only a game.
Yes, a very illuminating game. Please go on, Miss Sycamore.
Oh, well, this one's all right, Mr. Kirby. Sex, Wall Street.
What does that mean?
I don't know what it means, Anthony. Nothing.
It must have meant something, or you wouldn't have put it down.
It was just the first thing that came into my head, that's all.
But what does it mean, Sex Wall Street?
Oh, I don't know what it means, Anthony. It's just you're always talking about Wall Street. Even for real! I don't know what I meant. Would you mind terribly asked if you didn't stay for dinner? I'm afraid this game is giving me a headache.
Oh, but you're coming tomorrow night, aren't you?
Oh, I'm afraid we have an engagement tomorrow night.
Yes, we better postpone the whole engagement. You know, the hot weather and all.
Father, I think we're being very ungracious. Of course we'll stay for dinner.
I have a very bad headache, Tony.
Yes, your mother's not feeling well, Tony. I'm sure everyone understands.
Yes, don't, Tony.
What?
We are fools, Tony, ever to think that this would work. It won't. Mr. Kirby, I won't be at the office tomorrow. I won't be there anymore.
Darling, what are you talking about?
I understand, my dear, and I'm very sorry. Come, Miriam.
Yes, Anthony.
Alice, you mustn't mind this.
Are you coming, Tony?
No, Father, I am not.
Nice meeting you all.
Yes, lovely.
So sorry to see you leave.
Have a nice evening.
Good evening.
Good night.
Where you are, everybody?
What is all this? What does this mean? This is an outrage.
Mouth shut. Which one is he? This is him.
What's going on?
Ed! What's going on here?
What's your name, you?
Edward Carmichael. I haven't done anything.
Oh, you haven't, huh?
This all seems rather high-handed.
Yeah, what is
What's
this?
this all about?
Affirmative justice.
Oh, my goodness. J-Man.
Ed, what have you done?
I haven't done anything.
It's the boy down, officer.
Come here. Ever seen these before?
Yes, they're my circulars.
So you print this stuff, huh?
Yes.
And you put them in boxes of candy to get them into people's homes?
The love dreams.
But I didn't mean it.
Oh, you did. Dynamite the White House. Dynamite the Capitol. Dynamite the Supreme Court. God's the state is God?
I didn't mean this. I just like to print things. Still like Grandpa.
Oh, the government has nothing to fear from Ed. He prints anything. It's just his hobby.
Well, I've never heard of something so ridiculous. Thank you. Oh. What is going on here?
What's going on here?
It's enough. I refuse to stay here anymore.
Hey, my pipe! Let me get my pipe! They got another blow up the whole city.
Hey, Will, you guys, I have an ear. Under arrest.
That's my mother.
For appearance in the West Side Court this morning, the defendants, 13 in all, were brought before Judge Callahan and given suspended sentences for the manufacturing of fireworks without a permit.
Yeah, they kept me in the same cell as a stripper from a burlesque show.
I was in the cell with Mr. Kirby. My, was he mad.
Miss Kirby and that stripper, they kept fighting all night long.
Sure is a lot here about Mr. Kirby. Anthony W. Kirby, head of Kirby and Company, 62 Wall Street, who was among those apprehended, declared that he was in no way interested in the manufacturing of fireworks and refused to stay while he was on the premises at the time of the raid. Mr. Kirby is a member of the Union Club, the Racket Club, the Harvard Club, and the National Geographic Society. My, he certainly is a joiner.
Yeah, all those rich folks are elks or something.
I suppose after all this, Mr. Tony ain't never gonna marry Miss Alice.
No, sir, and it's too bad, too. Miss Alice sure does love that boy.
Ever notice how them Yankees always getting themselves in trouble?
I bet I'm Southern.
Me too.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with all that food in the kitchen. There ain't gonna be no party tonight, that's sure.
Ain't we gonna eat it anyhow?
Well, they've all lost their appetites. They're so all broke up about Miss Alice.
Well, I'm still hungry.
They ain't.
What she wanna go wait for? Where's she going?
Oh, mountains or someplace. And she's going to. It doesn't matter what they say. When I know Miss Alice, when she gets that look in her eyes, she's going.
Too bad, ain't it?
Sure is.
Not even a balloon left.
How's your hand, Mr. Lieutenant? Better?
Yes, it's better. Is there some more olive oil?
Oh, yes, it's Miss Salvo.
Thank you.
Well, she's going, and nothing anybody said could change her mind.
She ain't gonna stay away long, is she, Miss Sycamore?
I don't know, Reba. Maybe.
Well, we might as well without her.
How you be, Miss Sycamore?
I'm fine, Donald. Just a little upset. Maybe if I do some work, I'll feel better.
Well, I guess I'll leave it to your work.
She's going, Penny.
Yes.
Now, Penny.
I can't help it, Paul. Somehow I feel it is all our fault.
It's mine more than yours, Penny. These last few years, I've just been going along, enjoying myself, when maybe I should have thought more about Alice.
Don't say that, Paul. You've been a wonderful father, and husband, too.
No, I haven't. Maybe if I'd have been something Alice could have been proud of, like an architect or something. I don't know. I was just sitting here thinking about that last night.
But we've been so happy, Paul.
I know that. I used to know that. But I don't know anymore. I'm all mixed up.
Well, what time is she leaving?
The train leaves at about 7:30.
Well, maybe Tony could talk to her. I'm sure he could persuade her.
It won't help any, Penny. She won't listen to him.
Well, where is he now?
I don't know. I suppose walking around the block again.
Maybe he can catch her on her way out.
It won't help any, Penny.
No, I don't suppose it will. I feel so sorry for Tony. Grandpa?
Now, Penny, let the girl alone.
But Grandpa...
Oh, suppose she does go to the Adirondacks. You can only take so much of the Adirondacks, and then you come home.
But it's all so terrible, Grandpa.
But it has its bright side, too.
How do you mean?
Well, Mr. Kirby getting into the patrol car, for one, and the look on his face when he had to take a bath with Donald. Oh, I'll never forget that. If I live to be 100 years old, and I tell you people, I intend to, if I can have things like that going on.
It was even worse with Mrs. Kirby. When the matron stripped her, they had us in the same cell, with a stripteaser from a burlesque show, and she was singing a strip song while Mrs. Kirby undressed.
I'll bet you Bar Harbor's not going to seem as exciting to the Kirbys this year. You need any help, Alice?
No thanks, Grandpa. I'm just going to press these.
Alice, dear.
Now, Penny.
I'll bring the big bag down as soon as you're ready, Alice.
Thanks, Dad. Would you like to take some candy along for the train, Alice? No thanks, Essie.
Alice, dear, you could be just as alone here as you could be in the mountains. You could stay in your room the entire time.
No, Mother. I have to go away for a while. Be away from everybody.
I love you guys, you know that, but I just have to be by myself for a while. Father, did you call for the cab?
I didn't know you wanted one.
I told Donald to tell you, Paul. Oh, didn't he tell you?
No.
Did he tell you?
Oh, yes, he did. But I forgot.
I wish I didn't live in a family that forgot everything. That acted the way normal families do. Why can't we be like everybody else? Roast beef and 2 vegetables and doilies on the tables and a place that you can actually bring your friends without... Ugh.
I'll see if I can do anything.
Tony, talk to her. She's in the kitchen.
Thanks. Alice, let me talk to you, please.
No use, Tony.
Alice, you're not being fair. At least let me talk to you.
Where'd they go?
Upstairs. Knocked the olive oil right out my can.
It's gonna smell kind of fishy.
She walked
how's
right
your
up
hand,
and then
Mr.
you came
DePino?
up.
It's better.
Everything burnt up, huh?
Everything. And my Roman costume, too.
See, I told you there was a bright side to everything. Everything but my 24 years back income tax.
See what you can do about that, Grandpa.
Well, I had an idea. It might not work, but I'm gonna try it anyway.
What is it?
Good evening.
Oh, why, Mr. Kalinkoff?
You'll forgive me. The door was open.
Oh, come on in.
And you'll forgive my coming tonight. I realize you're still upset.
That's all right, Mr. Kalinkoff.
I don't think I can take lessons today, Mr. Klinkoff. I don't feel up to it.
Oh, but do stay for dinner, Mr. Kalinkoff. We've got all that food out there, and somebody's got to eat it.
I will be honored to, Madame Sycamore.
Fine.
Now, I wonder if I know you well enough as to ask for you a great favor.
Oh, why, of course. What is it?
You have heard me talk about my friend, the Grand Duchess, Olga Katrina?
Yes?
She's a great woman, the Grand Duchess. She is a cousin of the Tsar, and today she is waitress at Child's restaurant, Times
Yes,
Square.
I know. If there's anything at all that we can do, Mr. Kalinkoff.
I tell you, the Grand Duchess has not had a good meal since well before the revolution.
She must be hungry.
Aha, and not only is today the Grand Duchess's day off, Thursday. It is also the anniversary of Peter the Great, a remarkable month.
If you mean to say, Mr. Kalinkoff, that you would like the Grand Duchess to come to dinner, why then we'd be honored.
Oh, yes.
In the name of the Grand Duchess, I thank you.
This is so exciting. Where is she now?
She's in the street, waiting. I bring Helen.
So nervous. Ed, straighten your tie. I see your dress. How do I look? Do I look all right?
If I could have things like this happening, I want to live to be 150.
The Grand Duchess, Olga Katrina. Your Highness, permit me to present Madame Sycamore, Madame Carmichael, Grandpa, Ed Sycamore, Carmichael, Mr. Paul Sycamore, and Mr. DePina.
That's enough now, DePino.
Oh, why don't you give me your coat, Your Highness?
Thank you. You're most kind.
We are most honored to receive you, Your Highness.
I'm most happy to be here. How soon is dinner?
Oh, it's very soon, Your Highness. Quite soon.
I don't mean to be rude, but I must be back at the restaurants by 8 o'clock. Substitute for another waitress.
Oh, I will make sure you're on time, Your Highness.
Thank you, Klinkoff.
Say, didn't you wait on me once at Child's on 72nd Street?
No, that was my sister.
The Grand Duchess, Natasha.
I work in Times Square.
Oh. Say, there's quite a few of your folks over here nowadays, aren't there, Duchess?
Ah, yes, many. My uncle, the Grand Duke Sergei, is an elevator man at Macy's, a very nice man. Then there's my cousin, Prince Alexis, who will not speak to the rest of us since he works at Hattie Carnegie in ladies' underwear.
He was selling hot dogs at Coney Island. He was willing to talk to you.
Ah, Klinkoff, our time is coming. My sister Natasha is starting to be a manicurist. Uncle Sergei, they have promised to make floor walker, and next month I get transferred to the Fifth Avenue Childs. From there, it is only a step to Shreks. Then we will see what Prince Alexis says.
I think you've got
You're
it.
telling me.
Did you know the Tsar? Personally, I mean.
Of course, he was my cousin. It was terrible what happened, but perhaps it was for the best. Where could he get a job now?
Pravda, that is true.
And poor relations are poor relations. It's the same in every family. My cousin, the King of Sweden, was very nice to us for about 10 years, and every now and then he would send us a money order. But then he just said, I cannot go on. I don't blame him. I'm not doing so well myself.
No, of course. Would you excuse me for a moment, please?
Is it true what they say about Rasputin?
Everyone wants to know about Rasputin. And yes, my dear sir, it is true. And how?
You don't say.
Your Highness, we have to watch the time.
Yes, I must not be late. The manager's not like me. He's a communist.
Then we will be sure to hurry things up. Essie, why don't you go into the kitchen and see if you can help Reba?
I will help too. I'm a very good cook.
Oh, no, Your Highness, not on your day off.
I don't mind. Where's your kitchen?
Right through here. But you're the guest of honor, Your Highness.
To cook. Come, click up. They got sour cream and pot cheese. I'll make you some blintzes.
Ah, blintzes. Come, Pavlova. We show you something.
Say, that Grand Duchess is pretty nice. Grand Duchess, you need help? You know, she had a really nice face for a mess, didn't she?
She was a very nice woman, considering she's a Grand Duchess.
Yes, wonderful what some people go through, and still seem kind of gay, too.
Yeah, she made me forget about everything for a moment.
I suppose I better call that cab.
No, wait, Paul, here they are. Maybe Tony has talked to...
Ed, will you please bring down my big bag?
Ed, don't do it.
Ed, please.
All right, Ed, bring it down. You know you got the stubbornest daughter in all 48 states.
That must be the cab.
If it is, it's certainly wonderful service.
I'm coming.
Is Tony here, Alice?
Yes, he is. Come right in, Mr. Kirby.
How do you do?
Good evening. Tony, I want you to come home with me. Your mother is very upset.
Very well, Father. Oh my God. Goodbye, Alice.
Bye, Tony.
I need hardly say that this is as upsetting to you as it is to me and Mrs. Kirby. I'm very sorry, but I'm sure you understand. Come, Tony.
Well, yes, but in a way, no. No, I'm not the kind of man who tries to run other people's lives, but I don't think these two young people have as much sense as you or I.
Please don't do this, Grandpa.
Hold on, I'm just talking to Mr. Kirby. A cat can look at a king, can't he?
Do you want me to do that for you, Alice?
Oh, no, thanks, Mother.
You've got quite a while before your train leaves, Alice.
Yes, will you send a cab to 761 right away, please? Yes, that's right. Thank you.
Alice?
Oh, Father?
Are you coming, Tony?
Now, Mr. Kirby, I'm sure after last night you think this family's sort of crazy.
I wouldn't say that, Mr. Vanderhoff, although I'm not accustomed to going to dinner and spending the night in jail.
Well, you did come on the wrong night after all, and I'm sure if you stay tonight, nothing will happen. Maybe.
Mr. Vanderhoff, it was not merely last night that led me and Miss Kirby to the decision that this engagement would be unwise. It was many things.
Father, I can handle my own affairs. Alice, for the last time, will you marry me?
No, Tony. I know what your father's saying, and he's right.
No, he's not, Alice.
Alice, you're not marrying this boy because we're the kind of people we are. And you probably think the families wouldn't get along.
I didn't say that, Grandpa. It's just that I feel that...
Well, I feel that Tony's much too nice a boy to wake up 20 years from now with nothing in his life but stocks and bonds.
How's that?
Yes, all mixed up and unhappy the way you are.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Vanderhoff. I am a very happy man.
Are you?
Indeed.
I don't think so. Where do you think you get all your indigestion from? Happiness? No. You get it because you spend all your time doing things you don't want to do.
I don't do anything I don't want to do.
Oh, you said just that last night. After a week in Wall Street, you're almost near crazy. Why do you keep on doing it?
Why do I keep on? Why, it's my business. A man can't give up his business.
And why not? You've got all the money you need, and you can't take it with you.
That's a very easy thing to say, Mr. Vanderhoff, but I'm afraid I've spent my entire life working on my business, and I just can't give it up.
Why not? What's it got you? Same mail every morning, same business deals, same meals, same indigestion. Don't you think there ought to be something more? Didn't you want more when you started out? I mean, none of us have too much time here. Any of us.
What do you expect me to do, Mr. Vanderhoff? Live the way you do? Do nothing?
Well, I have time to do everything I want to do. Take walks, read, go to the zoos, practice my darts, even have time to notice when spring comes around. Don't see anybody I don't want to see. Don't have 6 hours of things to do before I get 1 hour to myself. Haven't taken a bicarbonate of soda in 35 years. Now what's the matter with that?
Matter with that? Suppose we all went to the zoos. Who'd do the work?
Oh, there's always people to do the work. Inventors, they want to fly the oceans. In Wall Street, there's always going to be people to go to Wall Street. You can't stop them. But what I've seen of you, you're not one of them. There's something missing.
Mr. Vanderhoff? You're crazy, and it's exactly why I'm opposed to this marriage. I don't want Tony to come under its influence.
What's the matter with it, Father?
Matter with it? Why, it's downright communism, that's what it is.
You didn't always think so.
Of course I did. What are you talking about?
I'll tell you what I'm talking about. You didn't always think so, because there was a time when you wanted to be a trapeze artist.
Don't be an idiot, Tony. How did you know about that?
I came across those letters that you wrote to Grandfather. Do you remember those?
Tony, how could you have done such a thing?
Why, that's wonderful. Did you wear tights, Mr. Kirby?
Certainly not. I was 14 years old at the time.
Yes, but at 18 you wanted to be a saxophone player, didn't you?
Tony!
And at 21 you ran away from home because Grandfather wanted you to go into the business. It's all down there in black and white. You didn't always think so.
That's enough, Tony. We'll discuss this later.
No, I want to talk about this now. I think Mr. Vanderhoff is right. Dead right. And I've always hated the office, and I'm not going back. And I'll tell you something else. I did make a mistake last night. I knew it was the wrong night.
Tony! Oh, for heaven's sake!
Because I wanted to wake you up. I wanted you to see a family as they really were. A family that loved and understood each other. You don't understand me. You never had the time. Well, I'm not going on with it.
Tony, what will you do? What do you mean?
I mean, I'm not going to be pushed into the business just because I'm your son.
But what will you do?
I don't know. Maybe I'll be a bricklayer, but at least I'll be doing something that I want to do.
That's the cab.
Ed, tell him to wait a minute.
Grandpa.
Hold on. Now, Mr. Kirby, can't you see that Tony's going through just what you and I did 35 years ago? Can't you imagine yourself saying the same thing to your father? And we were right. We were all right. I mean, we all wanted more when we started out. What happens to all those plans? Only a handful of us can even say we came close. So before they clean out your clothes closet, I'd suggest you get in a few good hours on that saxophone.
I beg your pardon, but before I make the princess, how many will there be to dinner?
Oh, the Grand Duchess Olga Katrina.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Mr. Anthony Kirby and Mr. Anthony Kirby Jr.
But before I make the blintzes, how many will there be for dinner?
I'd make quite a stack of them. You never can tell around here.
Good. Czar always said to me, Olga, do not be stingy with the blintzes.
Who did you say that was?
The Grand Duchess, Olga Katrina. She's making the dinner.
Oh.
And that reminds me, why don't you and Tony stay for dinner?
Oh, why, yes. We've got all that food that we were going to have last night. I mean tonight.
How about it, Father? Are we staying for dinner?
If you'd like to, Tony, I'd like it very much.
Now, if Alice will sit in that cabin, Mr. Vanderhoff.
How about it, dear? Looks like it's going to be a heck of a crowd. You might as well stay.
I'm staying, Alice. The families ought to get to know each other.
Oh, Mr. Kirby? Tony? Tony!
Darling.
Oh, Oh, Grandpa, you're wonderful.
Well, I've been telling you that for years.
Grandpa, here's a letter for you. It was in the icebox.
I better go tell that cow.
How do you do, Mr. Kirby?
United States government again.
How do you
How
do?
do you do?
Well, well, well.
What is it, Grandpa?
Seems the United States government owes me an apology.
Like, what do they mean?
Well, you remember Charlie the Milkman? Buried under my name.
Yes.
Seems I don't owe him a cent. I might even get a refund. I just told him I was Martin Vanderhoff Jr.
Grandpa, you're an old crook.
Sure.
Excuse me. How did you say you escaped the income tax?
Tonight, my friends, you are going to eat.
Hello there.
How do you do?
Fine, fine. Good to see you.
And what has happened?
Ah, he's just relaxing. Play something, Ed.
Everything's ready in minutes. Oh, come to dinner, everyone. Come to dinner.
Relax, lass, and goodness.
Essie, stop dancing and come to dinner. Oh, but Mr. Kirby, you must be careful of your indigestion.
Nonsense. I haven't any indigestion.
Lasha, when we sit down to dinner.
Hey. Dinner's ready. Come on. Well, sir, we thank you for getting Alice and Tony back together. Oh, of course the fireworks blew up, but that wasn't your fault. That was Mr. DePina's. And other than that, we just ask that you let us go along and be happy in our own sort of way. Everything else we'll leave up to you. Thank you. You see, his indigestion's gone. He's just relaxing.
Do you like roast goose, Mr. Kirby? We have roast goose for dinner. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah!